Welcome to the IMU Board of Trustees meeting. Call to order, 5:29. Roll call.
Selgren.
Present.
White.
Present.
Smith.
Yes.
Rosca.
Yes.
Voice.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Public comment. Anyone wishing to speak should come to the lectern and state your name and address for the record. Okay. Need a first and second motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
Approval of claims. Approval of minutes of prior meetings. March 2025 financial report.
I gotta think about that, March 2025, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. The report that's in front of me is for the 9 months ended March 31st, 2025, which from an accountant standpoint, that's 75% of the year. The only, I talked to Chris and everything always looks in order. Maybe an observation or two is on the water, we had a budget of a deficit of about $190,000, and we're at almost $800,000 this year. Now, there is a thing on there called depreciation, which we may not have budgeted for. I'm not sure about that, but just an observation.
Hey, while you're on that, Doug, I was going to ask about that too, probably for Justin. So on the water service sales, you know, we would expect to be about 75% of the way through, and we're at like 67% right now. So and I don't know if that's just volume of water is just down this year, or what's driving that.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I don't really know. And again, we haven't really. There's houses being built, but nothing that's going to drive that up. I'm hoping that with these months coming up, it'll be drier. We'll use some more, but it's so seasonal. And again, in that 1 month of, I think it's October, we were 9 million down.
Correct.
I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when like in the last 6 months, we've been below last year with every month except one, I think.
Yeah. It's. I don't really have a good answer for it. But.
Yeah. I know it's dependent on weather, but does that sort of catch up in the last 3 months of the year? Is there a higher volume of usage?
Typically, yeah. Like I know these last couple of weeks, we've really started getting out sewer reduction meters. I think people are flowers and stuff, and it's been so dry, pools. So I, knock on wood, I have a feeling it'll come back up. But
yeah, okay.
I also have a comment on that. I was just looking at the budget compared to actual today that's more up to date. Mm-hmm. So this is March, and I was looking at today, which now includes the May billing. So we're 11 out of 12 months, and it is closer to the budgeted revenue, and I can share that information if you guys would like what the actuals are.
Yeah, unfortunately with water, we get kind of a U-shaped. We start in July with high usage, and then we end, and we're down a little bit based upon, some of the volumes you saw, but we typically are, at 69, 70%, for this time frame. So we're back some, but not terrible a lot. So.
Okay.
I'm good with all that, so thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks.
Doug.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Selgren.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Rosca.
Yes.
Voice.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right. Presentation from Sandhills Energy about solar project.
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. Rafael Martinez with Sandhills. It's been quite a while since we've been back in Indianola. Delays, of course. I'm Director of Business Relations with Sandhills. First, want to thank Chris throughout this process. He's been great to work with, easy to communicate with, easy to get in touch with, understanding, and I know a lot of his understanding is based upon your understanding, so we appreciate your patience. But yeah, we're obviously slower than we anticipated. And I'm gonna kind of walk you through the timeline of how we got to where we are, if you don't mind. So I'm gonna look at my phone and talk to you at the same time. I can send follow-up information to Chris if anybody needs it. I will preface by saying I'm not an engineer, so if you're asking me specific engineering questions, I probably don't have the answer. And if you ask me a question that I don't know the answer to, I'll refrain from answering and report back later with the correct information. So this project is a part of the MEAN portfolio, and in order to fund that portfolio, Sandhills back in July of 2023 applied to the USDA's PACE program. It was a program under the Inflation Reduction Act. It's called Powering Affordable Clean Energy Program. When we applied for that, that secured our PPA rate deposit, and it protected us from major equipment and interest rate increases. So fast forward, it took us from all the way in July to November. We were invited then to submit a full PACE application, and to qualify for the PACE loan, a full NEPA review is required. Basically a study of the environment, the livestock, the animals, the habitats, all that can consist. A NEPA review for Indianola began in mid-2023 and was submitted to the USDA in early 24. We didn't hear back from the USDA until September of 2024, so almost 8 months, 7 to 8 months before we heard back from the USDA. And they told us that they were backlogged and only responded months later with questions about the environmental submission that we had put forward. So from September, so we responded to their questions. That was in September. In November, we received a commitment letter from the USDA for full project funding upon completion of construction. It was interesting. We went a long period of time without hearing anything. Came end of October, early November, election season, we started to get a lot of communication back from the USDA around that time. Sorry, let me go back. We received commitment letter from the USDA for project funding upon completion of construction, conditional on completion of the NEPA review. So they were still reviewing our environmental application. And then January through April of 2025, as we all know, there was a federal administration transition, and executive orders caused a freeze of the PACE activity. So there was a 90-day window where the whole USDA and the PACE program was being reviewed on whether it was going to stay, go, and we were just to sit there with our hands tied behind our back at the mercy of the new administration. Thankfully, PACE was reapproved in April. USDA was still not reviewing environmental applications. So we submitted our environmental application, when did I say? All the way back in November of 23, and they're still reviewing our application for that. So
to this day, you still don't have an answer?
We still do not have an answer, yeah. So the current status. So where we're at right now, the USDA has re-engaged and now has prioritized our application. However, bat breeding window has opened, triggering additional review by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So that's why we're going to start construction and start mobilization as early as next month, but we cannot finish construction until this bat habitat, whether we know bats are in there or not, we don't know, but because this is bat habitat, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife has told us that we cannot remove those trees until bat breeding season concludes.
And when is that typically?
So they said October, so we now need concurrence. We're hoping to get concurrence from the Fish and Wildlife and from NEPA so that we can remove the trees in August instead of waiting until October.
That's our government at work.
So how much will that delay the work in progress then?
So
how much can you really accomplish?
we can accomplish quite a bit. I mean, we can touch all of the other land that's there except for that. So, ideally it's going to delay us a month. Potentially 2 months, potentially 3 months, until they say we can remove it. So we're kind of at the mercy of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
When you remove it, is it simply just removal, or is there some sort of mitigation and replacement, or do you have to move the bats? somehow?
No, I just think we're able to remove the trees, and then obviously there's some grading that takes place. Right.
Have they checked that there's really mats there?
No.
No.
It doesn't matter if there is or
Yeah, it
isn't.
doesn't matter, yeah. And it's a very, like I talked about, the NEPA application is it's a very important part to the PACE program application, that you abide by fish and wildlife regulations. So, you know, we've talked about in the middle of the night, somehow we wake up and those trees are gone, but we thought we didn't want to jeopardize our potential funding. So all jokes aside, we have to wait until that breeding season is complete.
So let me ask a question. So
Yes, sir.
the only thing holding up from removing that area from those trees and brush and junk there is this bat breeding season.
Correct.
So this is not something that is going to kill it, it's just something that's gonna delay it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reality is they're not gonna get to your application until after that bat breeding season. So I would just,
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, we're waiting for concurrence from them to hopefully approve it and say we can, because now we have a good dialogue with the USDA and Fish and Wildlife. So our hope is they come back and say, your NEPA application is approved, you can now, and we'll allow for you to remove those trees as early as August.
And I don't know if you can do this or you can do this, but like on this diagram, can you identify, I don't need it precise, but just roughly where the solar array is gonna go on this property?
Chris, you know better than I.
Yeah, I can draw some engineering documents.
There you go.
In broad swaths, we have a kind of a U-shaped build here, so it's about half of it goes up here, and then there are two sections, backed it up a little bit, then there's one section here, and then one section that goes here, and that's kind of 50% or 40, 30, 30-ish.
So you can proceed with that top portion and the lower left portion, right?
Correct, which is what we're gonna do. Yep. So we'll begin early construction at the middle of next month. So what we're basically gonna do as much as we can until we get to the trees. Wait until they say bat season's closed, you can remove them, and then finish the remainder of the construction.
So we can hook up the portions that are complete though to the grid early or no?
We cannot, no.
No, it all has to be done at once?
It all has to be done at once, yes. Chris has asked that question. I ran it past our team of engineers and no. Because of testing purposes, they have to test it at as close to full capacity as possible.
Good.
I get where we are now and the kind of the waiting game that we're playing, but through this process, one of the things that we've been asking Chris is there involvement by our legislators that could have helped prod this process along? Has Sandhills been in contact with our federal legislators to see if there's pressure that they can put on the federal agencies that you're working with to move this along?
Yes, sir. Yeah, to answer your question quick, yes. In Iowa, Nebraska, and Colorado. So our presidents, 2 of them have been to DC quite regularly. So yes, we've tried, but it's bureaucracy. A lot of it is out of their hands, unfortunately.
So all the prep work that we need to do, the security, some of the fencing or the gating that we talked about, is that already in motion, or is that also part of the delay?
The fence goes around, I know there's a obstacle there on the fencing on the back end, because we are fencing around the entire perimeter of that.
So we have to wait for the habitat to go away too?
Well, to at least finish that, the back side of it.
Correct.
And didn't we talk also about a security function of some sort?
Yeah, we'll have a automated security gate at the end of our driveway, kind of allowing for secure access of any deliveries that we have, like, because we do have CO2 that's delivered after hours and such. That'll allow them to maintain their security of all their facilities while giving us 24-hour access if we need
So
to.
is that in play right now? Are we working on that, or is that after everything is done too?
Right now, I know we're at least through the legal. It was because we're broke up into 3 sections. There was legal complexity on how we as a entity give them rights to construct all this stuff while still retaining our operational rights. So I know like the fencing stuff was pretty legally complex and required a couple of extra efforts and surveyors to draw this all out. I think that's all done as far as the last time I'd heard.
Yep.
So the question I really am asking are those things, will those things not be completed until the whole farm is installed? Or will we do some of that along the way?
What is this, the fencing?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the civil work, the fencing, so mobilization will mean they'll be start to have some early delivery of materials, but then civil construction, which will be like fencing, grading, any roads that need to be built, but I don't think there are any, that will happen soon, probably within a month, July or so.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then all of the, if I remember correctly, you guys bought all the materials, the panels, et cetera.
Yes.
So those are all somewhere, so you don't
Correct.
have to worry about any tariffs or.
Tariffs.
No, yeah, all of our materials are already procured in there in storage in Dubuque, I believe.
Okay, great.
Which is where, kind of segues into my next point, which is where our operation, we have two divisions of operation and maintenance, one in Iowa, one in Nebraska. Our closest one is in Dubuque. With that, they'll come on site towards the end of construction. They'll do an on-site training with the local fire department as well as some of Chris's staff to just talk through safety procedures with the solar site. If fire were to occur, if they need access to something, then our operations and maintenance director, Kyle Gorsuch, will run through that with them.
And is the city aware of that we've coordinated that? Or?
No, we haven't coordinated that yet. Not quite yet.
Well, they are now.
It's just a pre. Yeah. I just want to bring it.
being written down.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we reach out well. He'll reach out well in advance with the fire chief as
I
well
think
as.
this is an exciting thing for the city. I've had a lot of people be excited and interested, and so I think that's just one way to make sure that we're engaging our partners over there.
Of course,
City.
of course, yes.
Doug is our acting city
Yeah,
manager, that's why I'm looking at him.
Hi, Doug Rafi, I'm from this meeting.
Nice to meet you, sir. Yes, we will certainly do so. So yeah, that's where we stand. Yeah, we're hoping for substantial completion at the beginning of December, final completion end of December, with I think our targeted COD date is December 31st, 2025. So it's kind of a mad dash to the end of the year.
So when you say completion, that means we're running.
We're running.
Okay.
Yep, commercial operation date. Yep.
I'm just curious, not that it affects any of this, but is there any separation from a fencing perspective between our water plant and the panels and so forth, or is the fencing just perimeter?
The fencing's just.
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you again. We appreciate your patience. I know we've dealt with this at the 8 sites in Nebraska, the 4 in Colorado, and the 3 here in Iowa. So I've done a lot of these meetings and beg for forgiveness. We're sorry. We would have liked to get these up and running just as quick as you would have too. But we appreciate your excitement. We're excited to bring clean energy to Indianola.
Do you have other sites up and running?
We do in Nebraska, yes. Pender, Ainsley, Imperial. We have 4 of the 8 up and running. So, as a company, it's interesting. As a company, in the next month, we are going to quadruple our output of energy within the next month. So we're going to have 4 sites that are going to finish quick, and then we're in Colorado's kicking off with construction, and then we're coming to Iowa.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks
for the update.
Yeah,
Thanks.
no problem.
All right, electric utility action items. Need a second first motion to approve the resolution authorizing potential change orders for the East Iowa Circuit Switcher Replacement Project.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, so we received notice from Irby in reference through Siemens, who is the breaker builder for their East Iowa substation, that we ordered these breakers back in July of last year. Due to tariffs increases, they are saying they're passing those tariffs on to the consumer. We've had the discussion with not only Irby, but Siemens. If we say no, they say they're gonna cancel the order through Siemens, or Irby would cancel the order if we cancel it.
So remind us what percentage of tariffs are we facing?
So tariff percentages, as they had it, and I know some things have changed in the last 24 hours as they continue to change.
Minute by minute.
But what they anticipate, and this was, a lot of it's coming out of Mexico at 25%, which was per breaker about a little over 3,000, so you're looking at about half of it is due to Mexico tariffs. The rest of it is China, which totaled a little about $3,100 out of China. And then because of some of the other places within the US where they source that material from, they're passing on the tariffs through those companies to them. So that's about another $1,800 per breaker, total of a little over $12,000. I can say as we did look at this, if they did cancel order, number one, timing. You know, we lose a year right off the bat, and that doesn't include going out rebidding. Materials, metals have gone up. Everybody we talked to said that the cost of the breaker itself will go up, and then ultimately we'll be on the hook for tariffs anyway on that. So it's definitely unfortunate, but
I get where we're at. I don't disagree that I don't think we have a choice but to pay for this. But the frustration is not frustration at you guys at all, but the frustration is that we ordered this 9 months ago.
right.
And if they would have
Fulfilled it.
fulfilled the order more timely, we wouldn't have had to incur these costs.
Yep, and what they typically do is when we order it, that gets our name on a list, and then when your name comes up, then that's when they start ordering the material, unfortunately.
Did they
We
give
see
you
the
the
same thing with
indication at
transit.
that time it would be a year before we'd get our name to the top of the list?
Yeah, because I mean, it was,
I think we were at 60 weeks when we ordered it.
Yeah,
So they gave
it's a
us
long
that,
lead
so-
time.
Well, so here's the other thing too. I mean, as you point out, it's kind of a fluid thing, and I mean, apparently good news today.
Yep.
Who knows what's going to come here? So in light of that, I agree with Adam, but I also, there's a part of me that says if we agree to pay, what is it, almost $13,000, and this turns out to be a lot of nothing in the end, how do we protect ourselves?
So then we don't pay. If
How
the
do we know
tariffs-
that,
If the
though?
tariffs, they've said it in a letter from them, from Siemens,
And
said
we're
that
just going to trust it.
Well, I mean, I think
It's in the contract.
we know the source of, you know, the majority is from Mexico, and certainly, so if we do hear, you know, steel and aluminum tariffs in Mexico have gone to zero, then that'll let us know that we should be seeing half.
And I don't mean to imply that but I guess I just want to make sure we're protecting our interests.
Sure.
And we don't have to spend 13 grand that we don't have to spend because we signed this thing and then they say, well, you signed it. So you're saying that worst case scenario, this would happen, best case scenario, nothing would happen.
Yeah, and I mean, to be upfront, if it would happen to go, tariffs would go out of sight, you know, they continue to go up, then we're probably back here having that same conversation again. But at the end of the day, we haven't wrote the check for any of this yet, type deal. I mean, we always have the option, we can cancel the order and start over.
Then there's
Given
no
our-
guarantee.
given our
at the end.
substation.
I mean, yeah, to lose all the time that we have already. I mean, I'm not proposing that that's a great solution. I just hope that this turns out to be nothing.
I mean, we'll certainly, we know the bulk of the sources, we know where the raw materials and pass-through costs are. Those are a little tougher to kind of differentiate where they might get the raw materials that are assembled in the US. But the bulk of them going through Mexico, I mean, I think we will probably paying attention to the news, see that Mexico tariffs have changed. And obviously, the other big one we have is China. You know, I think we might lose sight of some of the smaller ones because they're passed through. But we don't know where Mexico and China are, and that's the bulk of it. So, you know, we can at least start asking questions if we hear that China has changed their tariffs or Mexico has gone down to 0 or whatever the situation is. If they end up being 10% instead of 25%, we kind of know the scale of the numbers we're looking at, and if it's something different than what we compute out, we could certainly ask.
And we did, on the phone conversation, we expressed our displeasure of how,
Disgust.
this is all going.
Our tiny little Indianola voices probably don't matter very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're not the only ones in this boat. It's all the utilities that we're hearing out there. They're all getting hit with these tariffs, and, you know, there was some insulators, one of the utilities were huge order, and they flat said we're gonna cancel the whole project. Some of them are just because their projects are so big and they're just delaying their projects. Like I said, we can, but my concern is with the substation, with the breakers, that would be the only reason.
Like, refresh my memory, this project or this portion of the project, what's their dollar amount?
So total dollar amount, we've already got the switchers, or the switches part of it. We got that. So total, that's included in this. Total cost of the project is about $231,696. But that doesn't include, that's kind of as a reminder though, once we get the material, or close to getting the material, we'll have to go out and have a contractor to be able to install this inside the substation as well. But just the breakers themselves was just a little over $213,000 for the 2 breakers.
Anything else? All right. Roll call?
Voights.
Yes.
Selgrade.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Electrical utility informational items?
Yeah, hopefully some better news here. So, starting on the, we're removing some of the transformers and some of the overhead lines that we can on the west side and southwest corner of the square. I'm hopeful by the end of the week we'll have what we can remove on those sides done. It's starting to look a little bit different, or it does to me. It's a little less clutter up there. And then we're just finishing up on the southeast corner, hopefully this week, and they'll have a crew. We'll be moving over to the east side by the parking lot, over by the Regions Bank area. So we'll be working in that area, and then working north on First Street towards True Value, and then we'll head west towards Howard Street through that alley. So we got a little bit of time to get there. There's a lot of work to get done, but that's kind of our plan right now, in the direction we're going to go. And then Emerald Bay, we got crew out there. We're working, trying to get everything around for the next part of that development. That's extremely busy out there. About needs somebody directing traffic. There's just so much work going on out there on that site. So we're getting closer to being kind of out of the main hustle and bustle of that, but
Is that where the quick star's going?
yeah. So yep, that's going well. And then we're just continuing with the prep work for the RO system. We did get the shipping container. It come in. It's in great shape. But we're getting underground the utilities to it, the electric, the sewer, the discharge for it. We're getting that all started to put in, doing that all in-house with crews. So besides that, locates are just really coming in. Everybody's doing all kinds of work. So yeah, that's what we got going.
Water utility action items. Need a first and second motion to enter into public hearing for East Third Avenue Water Main Improvements Project.
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment? Roll call.
Selgren.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Thank you.
Need a first and second motion to exit public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Voight.
Yes.
Selgren.
Yep.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Need a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving the final plan specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for East Third Avenue Water Main Improvement.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, this is just approving the plans for the one block of main that we're gonna be putting down East Third Avenue.
Okay. Roll call.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Selgren.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Thank you.
Need a first and second motion to approve the resolution awarding and approving contract for Morris Enterprises for the East Third Avenue Water Main Improvement. Motions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, so we ended up having, I can't remember how many's on there, I think 5 or 6 bids come in. Everybody was kind of in the ballpark. Engineer's estimate was $165,000. Morris Enterprises came in at $135,000. I did talk with V&K after this. They have worked with Morris Enterprises since 2012, done a few projects, and he said that they're very strategic on how they, the projects that they bid. He says 9 times out of 10 they do come in as low bid. It's a smaller outfit, but very strategic on how what projects they take on.
It's a good opportunity to bring in a potential future contractor for us as well, based on a reasonable project. So,
Where are they out of? From
Cutler,
Cutler, Cuttier.
Yeah, it's up by,
Cloutier, maybe, depends if we wanna go French.
I think they said it's a little bit east of Marshalltown, up by Tame, I guess.
Yeah, it's, the entire city limits are kind of, it's an intersection on the highway is what it is. You know.
All right. Roll call.
Smith.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Selgren.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Need a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving and awarding contract to Central Tank Inc. for line tower recoating project. Motion.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, so this is repainting our lime tower that sits on our roof. We did end up getting 2 quotes on it. Engineer's estimate was $150,000. Low bid came in at $140,800. Estimate be about a 2-week project. It's not a very big project, but this tank that we were redoing is original since the plant was built. So when it was set on the roof, I don't know, 95. The plant went on in 97, so it's done its duty. It's just no big issues. It's just paint and stuff starting to come off or flake off, and we're getting down to bare metal. So trying to do a little preventative maintenance before we have bigger issues.
Is this just painting the outside, or is it doing something on the inside too?
Just the outside.
Okay.
Roll call.
Voight.
Yes.
Selgren.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Water utility informational items.
Yeah, kind of like Mike said, busy with the construction projects going around. We were out at Emerald Bay today, testing the next chunk of main they got put in. We were out on where the new athletic facility is going, north of the Y, or the Wellness Center. So that one will be going, and then starting next week, we'll be working on the West Clinton project between Howard and Buxton Street reconstruction. Still continuing to flush fire hydrants, and then just work orders and locates on top of that, so busy.
Justin, how far does our water territory go on the west side of the road there going north?
We go clear, you know where Bob Downing lives?
Yeah.
So we go past his house.
On both sides of the road?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know we went that far.
Yeah, we have the 12-inch water main stops right at Phillips Floors, and then I'm not going to tell you what year we did, but we bought Warren Water quite a ways to the north there.
What about electric, Mike?
We stop between, that north side, Casey's and that Hardy's. That's kind of our east-west line
Okay,
for
all
north and
right, all
south.
right. Thank you.
Communications utility informational items.
First rural installations for that new phase down south on the NOFA started today, so we did 2 installs down there. We have another 10 scheduled for the next couple of weeks, so making good progress. Though Doug, I haven't heard from you yet, so anytime you want to call. ABR final rollout is scheduled for May 20th. That is the final step in converting the TV signal from multicast to streaming. So most customers aren't going to notice any difference. The set-top boxes, the guide, everything's going to look the same. But those impacted will be the DVR customers. We have been communicating with them via the bill stuffers here the past few months, and we started sending out Facebook notifications today. So we'll see how that goes. So,
Can you say that again, Kurt?
which part?
The changes as far as the set-box type?
Yeah, it'll look, the set-top box will look the same. It won't be any different from what you notice now. It's just.
So is that going to require us to go into these houses to change those, or is that just new guys that are getting signed
No,
up?
it's just new way of sending the
gotcha.
signal. So, yeah. Matter of fact, you're seeing some streaming channels on there now. We have some of them converted already, but we'll do the rest of them here on the 20th. So, yeah. So, field testing for the XGS pond equipment is ongoing. Currently looking at our G-pond inventory. I think we're going to run out of G-pond equipment sometime in June, July. So we'll do the flip over there to XGS pond completely at that point. And just for a reminder, the XGS stuff is the new 10 gig capable equipment. So we'll start rolling that out here the second half of the year. So, attended the local Iowa Calyx Connections meeting last week in Des Moines. I spent most of the time on the business side of things this time, getting information on some of their new projects, features and services that they've got coming to market in the next 12 months. Going to have some follow-up conversations with them on pricing and their go-to-market strategies, and then I'll likely bring something to you either during our strategic meeting or one of the meetings in July. So they've got some ideas on how to do some additional marketing and plans going forward. So we're trying to get all that put together, and we'll get a presentation for you here in the next couple months. So. And then finally, 666 Walnut, which is a carrier hotel up in Des Moines that we use to connect to Cedar Falls, suffered a major power issue on Sunday around 10:45. That I'm not sure what happened. I haven't heard back from CFU completely, but that caused CFU's OTN equipment to fail. It took down 3 of our 4 paths to Cedar Falls, but we did fail over to the Pella, Grinnell, Hiawatha route like everything was supposed to. So everything was good. We probably had a little bumpy air there for 30 seconds or so with things rerouted, but everything did what it was supposed to do. So didn't receive any support calls, so it must have been fairly smooth. So, but it's always fun when you're doing gardening and your phone starts blowing up at some days. So, but anyway, once I find out from CFU what the issue was, obviously that should have been on backup power and everything else, so they had some major failure up there. But we'll see what it was and see what their solution is so it doesn't happen in the future. So.
See if we have lessons learned.
Yep.
Are all our temporary runs completed? All those are out?
Yep, everything's up off the ground, or in the ground now, so they're good to go. So. Yeah, the guys have been spending most of their time here the last couple of weeks down south. It just, those rural installs take a little longer to get prepped, get stuff pulled in, stuff like that, so that's what we've been focusing on.
So at this point in time, you've got a total of 14 to go in there. You said you did 4, you've got 10 more?
Did 2, get 10 more to do.
Did 2, got 10 more.
Yeah.
And the opportunity there is,
30 some,
okay.
yeah, I think that's what we sent out, 32, 36, somewhere like that, so, yeah. And what we tend to find out too is once we get a few people installed, word of mouth starts going around and we'll pick up a few more and we'll send some more notices out there too, once we get a break in the schedule, so.
And how are you doing on the north side?
North side, I don't know, I have to pull numbers for you, I'm not sure how we're doing up there.
That's kinda-
That tends to be a little older crowd up that direction, so we haven't done it quite as good. But I bet we've got probably 14, 15 people up north now, so, with everything, so, yeah.
Seasoned crowd.
So, established, so, yeah.
There you
so,
go.
right. I used to live up there, so I know a lot of folks up there, so.
Combined electric, water, and communications action items. Need a first and second motion to approve the resolution approving health insurance renewals for fiscal year 26. Motions,
So move.
Second.
discussion. Good to go?
What came out of all the discussions then?
From Friday's discussion, maybe? Crazy. There wasn't any change, was there? I mean, our
The resolution is not
premiums
changed,
are,
other than the dates.
And that's something, Doug, I guess I don't understand since you're sitting here. And I know you were on the phone call when Steve was talking to me. And in hindsight, as I thought about it, I don't know that the explanation made sense to me now as I think about it more. Saying that this is what it was before and we don't want to change it. But if something is unclear, it would seem to me that if we had an opportunity to clarify that, would that not be a bad thing to do? Or a good thing to do, I should
And
say.
you're asking about the renewal? Sorry.
The memo, right?
I'm talking about the memo
Memo,
in
yeah.
particular.
There were a few changes that Courtney and Chris worked on last week.
Okay, well, I just heard there weren't any changes.
to
the
premium,
memo.
the memo changed,
Everything's the same in the whole
Okay.
plan.
which
just
was
information.
not, our issue wasn't in the premium amounts, it was in the information that was included in the memo.
And I
how it
agree
was
with that.
described.
Because when I read it,
And
I
that's
was,
what's been changed.
Right.
when I read it, originally I was confused.
Right.
So, but then I heard some say, well, nothing, okay, I misunderstood what we were talking about.
So the memo, Chris apparently has read it and agreed with the changes that
Yep.
were made. That's what I heard at 5 o'clock Friday night. Anything different than that?
Okay. Roll call?
Smith,
Yes.
Rosca,
Yes.
Voight,
Yes.
Celebrate,
Yep.
White.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Doug,
Doug.
when does the new city manager start again?
May 28th.
He's thinking not soon enough.
Thanks for stepping in.
Happy either way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Combined electric, water, and communications informational items.
All right, well, excitingly, last week we had our employee event. It was great to see everyone make it there. It's not too often we get everyone in the same room or building.
I
And,
apologize, I don't know. I had it, it didn't pop up on my calendar. I don't
You know, sometimes when you're out golfing.
No, I wasn't golfing, I was actually mowing my yard.
But it was good, you know, as a staff, we were able to get together all in the same room, so it was good to kind of go through, get to see everyone, put them in the same room, let everyone interact.
Who did your awards go to?
Out of that, you know, we announced the typical anniversaries and such, but our big excitement was our 2024 IMU Difference Maker Award went to our CSR Rhonda Vance.
Oh, nice.
So congratulations, Alicia and her team taking the title for this year. Next, or Thursday, I've got a Mean Finance Committee meeting. Oh, that's kind of their audit prep and initial results. I think
They did much better than expected for the year ending in, or March 31st. I think hopefully that's a positive results that obviously won't change any of the rates or decisions they made for this upcoming current budget year.
Will we get a refund though?
We have in the past.
Yeah, we have in the past. I think that if I was a betting man, I would say no. The board priorities seem to be saving for a lot of decommissioning and those type of results. I think there was a group that favored pushing results back or pushing positive results back. I think the votes this time will be to save for decommissioning, rightly or wrongly.
Where will your vote be on that?
My vote would be for refund. I think in nearly all cases, I understand the need for savings, but some of this is 100 years out and a lot can change. And we really don't even have a good, my discomfort with that is we really don't have a good number we save towards. We're using kind of some industry standards, like on a per megawatt basis. But some of these coal facilities are gigantic, and I don't know that you're gonna need a dollar for dollar, reserve to decommission those. And in general, when tie kind of goes to the utility in my mind, if, or the local utilities, if somebody's gotta hold the money, and it's either gonna be me that holds it in their bank account or IMU holding it in our bank account, I always prefer if we hold it over somebody else, but, I am 2% I am 11% of the load, but 2% of the vote. We go for, I'll try, but, sometimes we just go along for the ride.
Are there any attitudes there about recommissioning any of those? I'm curious with the change in administration if there's.
So there's a couple of emissions related rules where we've had to make commissions to where coal facilities either had to set a date for shutting down, or if you promise that you're going to convert it and kind of have a path to convert it to natural gas, that you could continue operation for longer up until, to give you some time to plan and afford to convert. As a board, we have, for all the owned facilities, or at least our, again, Mean is a minority owner in a lot of these large facilities. As a board, our general votes were to vote for the natural gas conversions. But, and of course, it was 3 months ago that I was out there to kind of hear the initial stuff could be changing. It'll all certainly at the board meeting is 5/22, where I'll probably get some more of that update. But the initial expectation was that maybe that vote wouldn't, they wouldn't hold us to the vote, or there'd be a different interpretation, or possibly even some of those rules going away. So,
And there's admittedly risking doing that also, because depending on the administration, I see that as being something that's gonna either be yanked off the table or try to go all out. So it's hard from a business perspective to, I think, work in that kind of environment.
Certainly, and I mean, I think what's happening now, or what everyone's seeing, is a lot of infrastructure demand from data centers. I mean, Dom can tell you the crazy amount of power that they use. Just with the AI advances, those electrical loads are increasing faster than really the infrastructure can handle. And so, the short-term thought is, if we're gonna create, power shortages or transmission shortages, congestions and all of those, why would we shut anything down? Or even take it down for recommissioning if it's needed. Maybe there's a better path. And so I think all that's in the air.
I'll hopefully we'll get an update on some of that, but as of right now, I don't know that there's been any definitive rules getting canceled to say don't worry about this. So we're under the converting to natural gas assumption in the short term.
Kurt mentioned the strategy session. Can you remind us when that is?
July 16th.
Or is the board gonna be available? Oh, everybody's gonna make it? You're not gonna make it?
I only got one no come in. And I'll let the guilty party say who.
I think we already
who's voting
found the
no.
guilty party.
And be put to pasture.
Do we have a new
Are you gonna be
person?
done by then?
I think so.
Not yet. Not
Oh.
that. Well, your term expires June 30th.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
expired.
That's what I'm saying, but put to pasture.
How about staff? Is everybody gonna be available from staff standpoint?
Mike's not. Mike's going to be the staffing, I think, scheduling issue. Everyone else is going to be there. Mike's got some vacation hang up on that.
Should we reschedule? I mean, that's a pretty big part of our strategy.
We can discuss it. I know, Mike would like it to be rescheduled. We've got some commitments lined up. If you guys want to discuss that, moving it to the next week or anything like that, I can certainly kind of introduce that topic and see what the need is. I would need to check on the facility. We're still going to do it at IAMU at their board meeting.
So you would opt for the 23rd instead of the 16th?
Yeah, something like is that the next
That'd be the next Wednesday.
Wednesday or Thursday? Yeah, if we got a date to kind of throw out that works or doesn't, it would be
That would work better for me than the 16th.
okay.
I can make it work.
I can do it.
I'll do it for Mike.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
perfect. I will check on that date and send everyone a follow up if we can confirming that we can get that date changed, and it'll be the 23rd instead.
And then, so if you're rolling out and we don't have any news on a new person coming in, how are you pursuing that? How's the city?
I had a brief conversation with Steve Friday when we spoke, and I don't know if Dom, if you had it as well. I know there's at least one individual that has completed the application, if that's the right word, maybe two.
Friday when I spoke with the mayor, there had nobody yet, so that must have just come in.
Yeah, and then he also spoke of another individual, and I apologize, but I don't remember his name.
I just think if we had the opportunity to bring somebody into that conversation, that might be.
Well, my understanding is that would happen like right after, because as a rule, I think they'd come on in July 1, right?
July 1st,
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple names. I don't have them. I know one of them was Ben Carpenter that he mentioned. I think Stephanie had some initial conversations with him, and Steve seemed to follow up with those conversations. There's another gentleman, I've got his name written down. He applied for the mayoral appointment. He was one of those interested parties there.
Is that Eric Martin?
Not Eric Martin's.
Have you talked to him?
No one's reached out to me.
So, yeah, waiting to hear, but if we've got an application, I mean, that's good progress, because that, early Friday, that wasn't the case, so.
And finally, traditionally during the summer months, we go down to one meeting a month. I think we've talked with Dom and checked with everyone else's schedules. If that still works, we would choose the first meeting of the month for
It starts when?
Starting when?
in June.
The 9th. June 9th would be our regular meeting.
But we'll have the second meeting in May.
Yep. And then usually we go through October, but that's a little bit fluid in that, you know, depending on budgets and how everything else is ramping up. You know, for sure, if that'll be September or October, that'll be switched back.
Does that second meeting fall on Memorial Day? Would it be Tuesday?
So
Just
just
a
a
heads
good,
up.
be that
Good
Tuesday.
reminder.
Yep.
The 27th would be the day. So we are gonna have a meeting on the 27th then?
Yeah,
Or are we still gonna
tentatively,
be-
like admittedly, it will, like right now, it probably will be a light meeting. So it is possible if we don't get an agenda, it is possible that we cancel
Cancel
it.
it,
But,
For May?
for May,
but don't do it yet.
yeah, don't do it, don't cancel
We
it.
need to do an exempt session on all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other business? Adjourn, motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, second.
Voice vote?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
6:26.